everybody. Welcome to this Board Game Life episode number 93, titled What Are We? I am one of your fine hosts today. My name is Rob, and with me, as always, over here, I got my good buddy Mark.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Am I part of everybody?
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
I guess. Good. For this purpose.
Yes. And, we can say, like, what are we? We are the podcast that's talking about this board game life that we live in. We talk about board games, card games, miniatures games, sort of, sometimes not really any kind of games that we feel like talking. And sometimes we talk about other things. Maybe some video games. We don't talk about towels. That's that other show that was at in appliances. But let's kind of get into the thick of things here, because we got a time limit. We got a deadline to finish this thing on. So before we get onto what we've been playing lately, you can find our stuffs on the YouTubes, in addition to your local podcatcher or whatever you want to call it. I'm surprised they haven't called podcasts something different. They tried to do like netcasts for a while, but that really didn't stick. Remember that? That was a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think it's just probably from the old days of the iPod. It's probably when it originated. And it just kind of has stuck. So
exactly. So, you can find us on some alternate platforms. Like you can find the podcast on our website. You can find it on YouTube on this Board Game Life channel. And then Mark's been doing some awesome videos on there. Make sure to check those out. Like, comment, and subscribe as well. Hit that little bell icon. Ding! Hit the bell, select all.
yes.
And you'll get notified as soon as we release new content. So yeah, he's doing some unboxings, playthroughs, reviews, all that good stuff. Library walkthroughs.
I did a library walkthrough.
There's only one
yesterday.
R in library, by the way. Library.
Okay. Library.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I did it. Are you trying to tell me I labeled it wrong?
No.
Okay.
No, you're good. You're good. So it's not like that other thing that had to get removed.
Okay.
Out of the store. Never mind. It's inside joke.
I must be really inside because I don't even know what you're talking about.
From when I was visiting you. That thing that you're like, oh my God, what is this? And I'm like, duh.
Okay.
With the dice.
Oh.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were reaching there. Anywho,
yeah.
Back to on topic. Nice way to waste time. I did do a library of my personal gaming library. So I did a video showing you everything that's there.
Yeah.
And so you get to see everything more than what's behind me. And of course, that's as of yesterday. And like I was telling Rob at the beginning of the show, there's like 10 or 12 more things coming in like just this next week. Mm-hmm. So I will probably have a lot more unboxings coming up. And then the last thing I just released, I think it was this morning that it went live, was a playthrough of Wreckland Run. So check that out if you want to see how that game plays.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. So let's get rolling with what we've been playing. I'll go first. I finally got Unstoppable to the table, and I don't say I got a gripe, but I have to make some comments about this game. And it's about the setup, initial setup. So Unstoppable, John D. Clare game, came out a while ago. Looking forward to it. And it's got the, what do you call it, card crafting system, like what he had in Mystic Vale, and that's kind of his jam. And when you first set up this game, you have, a couple of decks of cards, and then you have these sleeves. And so you have to sleeve, probably 3/4 of the cards approximately-ish.
Yeah,
Like
probably.
120 card sleeves, I think it was. I don't think I didn't use all of them, so I probably screwed that up. But
No, there was
there's
extras.
extras.
There
Yeah.
are extras, so
Yeah,
which
because
is nice.
oh yeah, absolutely. Because I know for a while there, uh, sleeve quality always kind of sucked. So you always had some that got damaged and were bad from the factory. So I appreciated that they gave some extra ones. But the thing is, it's like they gave these instructions, and I mean, I'm like sitting there, like, what the hell am I supposed to do? It just the instructions were not like super clear. And then eventually I kind of like got it. And I just wish that they presented it differently. Maybe dumb it down some more for the stupids like me, because it's sort of like, oh, put these cards together. And I'm like, which one is that? And then they show you this picture on like page 2 on the inside front cover. I think it was, or wherever it was in the beginning. They show you like, oh, this is this deck. This is this deck. And I'm like, they all look the same. The only thing is some are like portraits, some are sideways. And it's like, I can't see what they are.
One of the things too they had was like on the character cards, they're like character card A, character card B, and character card C.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But you didn't know which one was A, B, or C.
Yeah.
Like on the back, I saw a couple that had an A, but then the others had like T.
Yes.
Like so where's the B and the C? Like exactly. That is kind of a mess that I should look and see if they did a reprint of the rule book or an explanation online.
Yeah.
Might be better. But I agree. The printed rule book for the initial setup is a little rough.
It's just wonky.
And it repeats in Tyrant's End. It's the same exact issues in that rule book for the expansion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And eventually when they have this table like on page 4 or 5, something like that. There's this table that's basically says, you're going to sleeve all the cards except these. It's like, okay, not helpful. And then it kind of clicked when I was looking at that table, and it's like, oh, these cards, sleeve them with these on the other side, because you're supposed to sleeve the cards and then put a second card in the sleeve as well. And then I sort of figured out like what was what. And then some of the cards actually, like the character cards, they tell you what card goes on the opposite end. It's actually printed on the back of it. And I'm like, okay, that helps. And then another gripe. This is me like with your rants. It's my turn.
Okay.
But the other thing is I sleeved a whole bunch of cards upside down, and that irritated me.
Yeah, that would be annoying.
So I basically had to go through and then like take them all out and flip them, and that's because of the what do they call them? Not like the
upgrade cards.
Threat cards. No, not those.
Well, the threat cards and the core cards have to go in a certain way so that you have the upgrade cards can slide in and be visible on the right-hand side.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
So actually, I think they're called the threat cards. They're the ones that are on the top left where they're face down.
On your deck, yeah. That's the threat where you're looking at the enemies and they go into your battlefield. And then when you flip it, when you defeat that threat, you flip it over and the core side is yours. That goes into your hand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, it basically said, like sleeve them, but only one card goes in there. You don't put a second card in there. And I put them in all upside down. Because for me, when I have a sleeve, and maybe it's just a me thing, when I have a sleeve, it needs to be open on top. It cannot be open on the bottom. That's like crazy.
Correct.
I mean, that's like insanity. It's like violating the entropy of the universe if you have the opening on the bottom. So the way that they went in is like upside down. So when you add the second card to it, then the top of the card is empty.
So you had to cut out so that it was on the left side of the card instead of the right side of the card. Yeah.
I guess, yeah. But I think they should have just told you, like, hey, put these in this way, orient it somehow. But anyway, it's just goofy gripes. But I enjoy the game. The game is really cool. It'd be nice to win. And the game actually has me very excited because it has like a bunch of mechanisms in it that I really enjoy. The deck building aspect really, really, really reminds me of Ascension that I haven't played in so long, and I still love that game so much. And I really like the John D. Clare's deck building, card crafting spin on it. Yeah, like right now, this is probably one of my favorite games of the year so far. I know it's early, but yeah, that's unstoppable. I'm very excited about it, and my mission is by the next show to get a win.
Mm-hmm.
At least one.
I got one finally. It helps when you play the rules correctly. So even though I was called out that on my win, I still did it wrong. But I know what they were saying, and it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the game. So
yeah.
But yeah, make sure you're putting those two. You playing against the Harbinger?
Yes.
That's okay. Make sure you put the two boss cards into that starting deck. So you when you got your card, you got all that threat, right? So you got the whole starting threat deck. You shuffled up. You put them out on the player mat. You take 3 cards into your hand, then put 3 cards into the battlefield. Then take 2 off the boss deck, and then put them into the threat deck and reshuffle. And that's why I was losing originally. I remember I told you the very first time I played, I got real close to winning. I had put those in there, and somewhere going through all the rules and trying to learn every other game after the first one, I didn't do that. Like I wasn't putting those 2 boss cards into that threat deck at the start. So like there was no way I was going to win. And like by the time you level up the first time, the boss should already have 2 damage on him. And I wasn't getting any damage until like level 2 or 3. So I was like really hosing myself. And it made a big difference if you follow the setup correctly. But there's a lot going on in this game. So it is fantastic. It is a lot of fun. I want to play now as some of the other characters. I want to play against some of the other bosses. My problem is I got Wreckland Run sitting here on my table in front of me, and it's like I played it, and it's like, okay, I want to box it up and move on to the next one, but it's like, wait, this is a 7-chapter campaign, then 3 more chapters with the expansion. I haven't even beat the boss. I kind of want to play. I want to play through, but I also want to get to so many others that I have sitting behind me, and like I want to try the Wraith and the Giants. Yeah, it's a brand new one in the solo series from Scott Alms, and it's like I want to play that one too. It's tough. Too many games, not enough time, and too many rules to read.
Yeah, and rules can be tough if you're challenged, like apparently I am.
Oh, I'm challenged big time.
Rules are one thing. I can't figure out freaking sleeves. So I got issues.
I didn't struggle with the sleeving part, but I struggled with following the rules. No.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
So is that all you played?
Yeah. How about you?
I also did get that in the last couple of weeks. I did play Unstoppable, got my win, and said, I'm out. I'm tapping out.
And then a high note.
Exactly. But I also got to play a card game. It's a trick-taking game called Prey. Finally got to play that in a group. I really did. I enjoy this little trick-taking game. It's pretty quick. It's simple. And it's a different type of trick-taking where you roll dice. You roll 2 dice, and they can't be the same number. And then you place those on your little card. And if you can, whatever dice you roll, that's the amount of tricks you're trying to take. So it's based off your dice roll. So if you have a really good hand Now you might have to really try to slough some of these cards off, and it can be a bit of a challenge. But I really like that, and I do feel that this game puts all players kind of on a level playing field, when it comes to trick taking. So I think it's a lot of fun.
I was just looking. I've got it here somewhere. I was trying to figure out where I was going to hold up the box.
It's a tiny little box, yeah.
Yeah.
Next, I played the Manhattan Project Energy Empire, and I think I got my first win on that game.
Oh, very nice.
So I was really happy to secure a win finally, but that's such a really good game. I do enjoy that. Got to play Rebirth again, and I did play the other side of the board. I got to play the Ireland side with the new public goals and the new additions into the game. And it's really fun. I really enjoyed, so it kind of removes the cathedrals, and instead of where the cathedrals are, which would give you a private goal, you have 8 public goals that everyone's working towards. So it's the first one to get there gets the more points. And you have bonuses where you get a doubling token and you can put it on one and hope that you get it first, and it doubles the amount of points you get if you achieve that. And then you have things like take another turn, or on your next turn pull out three chips from your bag and pick one to play. There's a lot of different types of little bonuses that you can get when you are next to that I forgot what they call it. It's a weird name because the name of the little token doesn't really match, in my opinion, what it's doing. It's like a bonus, but they call it something else. But
Fred?
No, it's got a weird name to it. But
Samuel?
Anyways, I really like Rebirth a lot, and I love that this one game has 2 versions of the game, with the core gameplay being the same and the second side adding some new stuff. And it's like a free expansion. It's what it feels like, and it plays differently, and I really like that. So it's really fantastic.
We can say that it was an expansion that was worthy of the original box.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, we finished our Clank Legacy 2 campaign. And, I'm a fan of Clank. I love Clank.
Oh, that's, for some reason, it's I always think Dice Throne and Clank are your favorites.
With that being said, Clank Legacy 2, I don't know what it was, but one of the other players that went through the second campaign, her and I went through the first campaign. We just had a different player, the Nick, who has been on this channel before. He played the second campaign with us. And then when we did Clank 1, it was a different guy that we had in the group that went through that campaign. And so Eva and I are both kind of walking away from this one we really didn't enjoy it. We both really liked the first one. This one, even though there's some changes, they made quite a few different changes and additions to the game, which I did like. I thought the idea of scratching a card to reveal or unveil a kind of a new ability on the card, has these little scratch offs. I thought that was kind of a neat idea, except that's really messy. That stuff gets everywhere. And then they also had this boss deck, and you're battling. So you have these different cards that you might play depending on which mission you're on. But overall, I felt the story, they tried to expand, and everybody had their own little story going on with the big story, with kind of the main thing. But it just wasn't as interesting. I didn't care for the second one as much as the first. And I was remarking the other day when we finished this, I said, maybe it's because we played the first one the end of last year. It wasn't that long ago. But Eva was no, that's not it. And she feels the same way. It's just something about it. I'm really glad it's over, and I'm done with it. And I will say this, I'm really clanked out at this point. It's the first time I'm I really don't want to play Clank anymore for a while. And But I know I put all my metal cubes and my metal coins. Everything's now in my Clank Catacombs box, which will be the one I play going forward. That's my favorite of them.
Yeah.
But it's I'm not going to take that game for a while. It's like I need a break from Clank.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's done. I'm glad we did the campaign. I don't know what I expected, but there was something about it wasn't as entertaining as the first one. I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes,
but I've heard others who love it. Yeah. So
no, sometimes the games overstay their welcome. Maybe that's like a harsh way to put it, but
yeah, if Clank Legacy 3 was coming out, I wouldn't back it. I would be like, I'll wait. I'll get it eventually someday. But it's like I'd have to play through it, but I really wouldn't want to.
I get it.
All right, but moving on. And that's just my opinion. Like I said, there's another guy in our group. Him and his wife played it. They absolutely loved the second one. So again, it's take it as that's just my thoughts. I just didn't, I liked the first one a little better. So, all right. Next one, played a card shedding game called Odin. This was just another one of those small card games. Plays quickly. You're just trying to get rid of cards. And then once someone gets rid of all their cards, you get a point for every card that's left in your hand. And that's how you score. And then I don't remember, I think you played so many rounds. And then the lowest score wins. I think that's what it was. Then I moved on to Fromage. So some French cheese making we did. And this is a fun game. And this was one that kind of surprised me that I enjoyed it as much as I did. But it was one of those I kind of took I'll take it. It's got a lot of good reviews. It looks interesting. I love how it's like the board. It's a max 4 players. It's a big circular board that does spin. It rotates on the table, but you get a quadrant of that circle in front of you, and that's what you're playing. And everyone's playing at the same time, which I love games that allow you to play quickly. The games where you're just sitting there waiting for everyone to take their turn. And maybe that was part of my whole Clank thing is sometimes, and the people I'm playing with they're not slow. I'm usually probably the slowest one in our group. But like waiting for kind of everyone to go through.
Because you complained about me too. And
no, you, my friend, are slow. Oh man.
Whatever.
I'm holding on to that. That's why Twilight Struggle took 6 hours. 1 hour was me, 5 was you.
5 hours of me taking min-maxing my win.
Exactly. So, which was a win by like a point or two. So, good job.
Hey, even a half point win is a win.
But
don't care how you get it.
That's true. Win is a win. Fromage, everyone's playing at the same time. You're placing your workers out in the quadrant in front of you. When that turn is done, it rotates. Then you have to wait till that worker's facing you and to get them back. So you only have 3 workers. So if you put both out on your first turn and you rotate the board and neither one are coming back, you only have 1 to put out for the next one. And then you could, in theory, not have any workers on their next turn. So it just depends on, you've got to manage how long you're aging the cheeses, and the longer they go, the longer it takes to get your stuff back. There's bigger benefits, but you might have a turn where you lose out on doing something. So there's a lot of different ways to score, which I like, different goals to try to go for on each of those quadrants is played something different. And I think it's cool. It's like each quadrant is a mini game overall, and it's really cool.
Yeah. You can call it Fromage to really like set people off.
Okay. I want to sound like I'm the French and I'm having the fromage. All right. Next is Forest to Shuffle. It's a game about trees and planting a forest, and there's a lot of cards, man. My one complaint on this is a fun game, but when you're first trying to learn it, there is so much, and the print is so little, and when you've got
the killer
5 or 6 players, and that you're trying to read, and if you're not like me, I'm like sitting there with the the trifocals, trying
Get
to,
the
how
get
do
the
I read it?
magnifying glass.
And then the cards are upside down, and then and you're not centered on the board. You're at the end of the table. Yeah, it does make for a challenge, but it is a fun game, and I do like this one, and I'm looking forward to playing it again. But I think I might enjoy it at 4 players. I'm pretty sure we had 5 or 6. I don't even remember if that one played 6, but I have
This
to
is
look
the
it back up.
Elizabeth Hargrave game, right? Didn't she make it?
I don't think so. It's I want to say, is it Coke or Koch, or is that the company? Let me look it up on BGG.
Hook. That's
It's
HOCH.
Koch, Kosch. Koch
Oh.
is the designer.
Oh.
It's 2 to 5 players, so we must have had 5. Well, let me look. I just had the game up. I'm pretty sure we had 5 players. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we had 5. So it's a fun game. I do like it. I actually did order. I've got the 2 expansions to it are coming in this next week, and so I do plan to get this one out to the table and play it some more. I really liked it. Of course, the classic Finca. Played Finca again. And then I did play, I mentioned earlier, Wreckland Run, which is still sitting on my table right here in front of me. So I did one. I've gone through it twice now. First playthrough, really butchered and messed up the rules and caught them. So my second playthrough, which I did share on our YouTube channel, I know I missed my driver power. I don't think it would have ultimately... It might have affected the end of the game because I missed like the first 2 rounds, or the first round. I forgot to repair my damage, and I ended up spending dice to repair. So it could have altered that, but I think I got everything else correctly in the game. Pretty sure I did. But it's a fun game where you think in Mad Max, you got your car out, you got this car, and then you're putting enemy cars around it, and they're moving around and shooting at you with dice and doing different types of damage, trying to destroy your car. You get to build it out with all these different types of kind of weapons and different types of things that will cause different types of damage, and you can repair your car at certain points and do upgrades and stuff like that. So it is a fun game. Got to play more cities. This is one I taught my mother how to play this one, and she really liked it. So this is one I'll get to play again with her. But Cities is a really fun little game. It's like a 45-minute game. There you go. Rob's showing it on the screen. Cities from Devere. Fantastic game. I really do enjoy it. It's quick. And even people that, are more experienced gamers, which we may talk about later, even they might be like, oh, it looks too easy, but it's very interesting. Just because a game might be easy or short does not necessarily mean it's not a good game for even people who like more strategy. There's quite a bit in this game it's tough because in a game of 4 players, you can only, if you're first, you get your pick of whatever that's on the board. But once you move, you're picking either a tile to build on, a points card to get points, or a feature, or you're putting buildings out. And if you want a couple of those things, you got to pick wisely because they could all be gone, or whatever, everything else you could be gone with that you'd want would be gone potentially by your next turn. So there's a lot of like, how am I going to best try to get what's probably the best payoff for me? And then as things go on, as you're building up your buildings, maybe the point cards you didn't get to benefit, and you end up with something else, some other point card, which is like, well, now I get points for two tall buildings, and my buildings are all at a 3. So that, it's like, man, I wish I would have taken this other card ahead. There's a lot of, it's constantly going to be changing based on what's available for you to pick from in the basic open market. So really, really fun game. And then lastly, just the other day, I got to play Architects of the West Kingdom. It's my first game of this. I'd never played it. The other game I've played similar a couple of times is Raiders of the North Sea.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really a fan of Raiders of the North Sea, but I did like Architects of the West Kingdom. This one seemed, there was just so much going on with Raiders, and it was, to me, it was just too much happening. And I've played it a couple times, and I need to play it more back to back to really kind of get that flow of the game, because there's so many things to do. And you still have that kind of thing with Architects, but it's a little more compressed or streamlined. It doesn't feel like, oh, there's this massive board, and am I going here or going here? What do I have to put? I can't go here because I don't have the right person. And I really like the way Architects of the West Kingdom is set up, the way it works, and how you have a lot of workers, but you don't get them back unless you're freeing them from prison, or you're going out to do this action to pull them back from the board of where they are. So it's like you put a worker out to pull people back, or you put a worker out to go get a bunch that have been confiscated by other players so they can get gold. And by putting your guys in prison, it's kind of an interesting mechanic. But I really did like it. Really, really fun. I'm looking forward to playing that one again. But that wraps up my what have I played?
Oh, very nice. Definitely got some cool stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't play bad games.
We don't play bad games. They just play us.
There you go.
They made us buy them. That's how they played us.
Yeah.
All right. So you can contact us a couple of different ways. You can send us an email at contact@thisboardgamelife. And you can also leave us a voicemail on our website. Feel free to comment on any of the videos. Click like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. I think I timed that perfect. And, well, yeah, because Mark just showed it up on the screen. But, yeah, so you can do that. And then we've also got a BGG guild. Maybe we need to start utilizing that more. We really just post when we do the podcast on there. We should try to grow that community a little bit. But anyway, so that's a couple of different ways to contact us. We'll hit the news really, really quick. I'll just blast through this stuff really fast because now we can get on to our main topic of the night. So a couple of things that I thought were just interesting and wanted to mention. There's a game that came out, like 15 years ago, maybe, called Tobago, however you want to say that. I say Tobago. It's a game by Rio Grande Games, and it's getting a refresh. So there's a new edition of this game coming out, and I remember it being pretty fun. So 2 to 4 player game, 10 and up, plays in about an hour, looking at a street price of around $50, which is, I almost want to say like cheap nowadays compared to, what we pay for some games. But it's good to see this thing coming out. Look for it hitting store shelves this month, April 2025. Then let's see, we can skip a couple of those. This is sort of board game related, but there's this company called GameStop. Have you heard of them, Mark? Have you seen them in your local strip mall?
Who hasn't?
Yeah. So the store by my hood that I refused to step into when they tried to really hose me on an Xbox trade-in many years ago. And I basically said, hey, I am never stepping foot into this store. My son got me to go in like a couple of times, but I went in begrudgingly. And then it's sort of like, okay, you're buying this and then we're leaving immediately. But yeah, so they've been hurting for quite some time. Did you know that they closed over 1,000 stores in the past year?
No, I did not, but that's insane.
Yeah, so in the U.S., they closed 590 stores as of February 1st, 2025. In Europe, they closed 337 of their 647 stores. So that's 50% of their stores closed. And in Australia, they closed 30, which is about 10%. And the 10 stores in Canada, which leaves them with 193. So that's pretty crazy. And I can say that my local store here is one of those that got shuttered, but I just thought it was interesting. And so apparently in their future, they're looking to invest in cryptocurrency. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. I mean, I understand cryptocurrency very well, but it's just interesting to me that their future is to invest in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
We basically see them as a meme stock. And yeah. And anyway, their annual sales have declined 27%. And yeah, it's just interesting. And I want to say that they have a tiny itty bitty board game selection towards the end there. I want to say they did. That was one of those things of trying to maintain. Yeah.
Well, I don't remember them ever having board games. But I haven't been to one in years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I know the last time, I think, again, was because of my youngest son probably wanting something. Then us going in there, they did purchase a great company. You ever seen? Remember Think Geek?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I loved that store. We had one in our mall here. Like, it was great. I loved going in there, man. That was such a great store for. I guess it's like novelty items, I guess, but it's like video game or board game items, TV show, movie memorabilia types of things. A lot of Funko Pops and things like that. But like that's where you'd buy like your waffle iron that would make waffles in the shape of the Death Star, which I do have. And they do taste better than regular waffles. It's science. But, GameStop bought out that company. And then all of a sudden the Think Geek store in my mall is like, goop, gone. Bye-bye. And they started putting that type of stuff into the GameStop stores.
Yeah.
But it was minimal. I'm like, you guys, I don't know. I don't get it. I think Think Geek was a much better, had to be more, I don't know. I mean, obviously not, but why would you buy it just to basically kill it? And now they're, and maybe the 1,000 stores is, maybe it's Think Geek stores is a lot of it too that they've closed out since they own them now. I don't know. Or they just, maybe all the Think Geeks were closed previously and put in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, GameStop needed to go away a long time ago.
Yeah. They, it's like
it's just the way the industry moved.
We wanted them to be cool. Like, I remember like back in the day, because these all kind of like funneled into GameStop where there was Babbage's, like old school, man, like 90s. Electronics boutique.
Yeah.
I didn't buy a whole lot there, but I liked that store. And then, I don't know, GameStop just seemed different. And
well,
yeah,
they became the one and only, and then you don't have to compete, and
nope.
That's, I think that's why they got such a bad rap. It's just, they could take advantage of everybody because they had no, especially with like your trade-ins, they would give you pennies on the dollar for trade-ins. I remember buying something once, bought it brand new, like $60. The game was terrible. I don't remember what it was. I went back the next day and they gave me like half price. I'm like, the game just came out yesterday. They're going to put it on their shelf. And that's the only reason I even got like half the money back, was because it was like 24 hours old. But they're going to put it back on there, and it goes on the shelf, and it was only $5 cheaper than the brand new. And they made the money.
Yep.
So, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just don't sell your games to them.
Yeah.
But there was, what else? Where else were you going to go?
Yeah.
Unless you went to eBay and did with that mess or tried to sell it on your own.
Yeah.
And they made it sort of easy.
It's the easy button.
Exactly. And they didn't really, we can complain, but where else are you going to go to get it done? So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So I know I'm not doing it at my local GameStop because there is no more local GameStop. But,
I
yeah.
don't even know if I have. Well, no, I'm pretty sure there's one still here in town. I think the one up north of me is closed, but I think the one here in town is still open. But I never look at it. I never pay attention. So,
Yeah. So just moving on real quick, I'll drop a couple of these things. I just wanted to make a quick mention of the elephant in the room, and that's tariffs. There's a lot of buzz about that, both in the board game space and out. And this thing, it's like we're gonna have to wait and see, I guess, see what happens. Because especially the stuff from China, right? It went from like 10 to 20, now it's at 54%. So, hopefully they get something resolved soon, and it'll be interesting to see what the publishers' takes are on things, especially with Kickstarter projects. Like I had one where I had to pay like an extra couple bucks because of the 20%. I don't even know what's going to happen with the 54%. But, I would just imagine that things will change, whatever that means, right? It's the publishers will find different ways of doing things, whatever that is, and we'll kind of have to wait and see. Then there's a bunch of expansions. I thought those a little interesting just because there's a whole ton of expansions coming out. So there's an expansion for Earth. This is a game that came out, like 2 years ago. It's called Earth Abundance. Then we've got where the heck is it?
Earth Animal Kingdom?
No. Underwater Cities. Vladimir Suki is coming out with Data Era. Tower Up is coming out with Paradise Islands.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a bunch more. But there's a whole bunch of companies that are coming up with add-ons and expansions. Maglev Metro is another one that's got a bunch coming out. Violet and the Grumpy Niece is coming out with one. So a whole ton of them coming down the pipe. So anyway, that's the abridged version. And here, let's jump into the main topic of, I was kind of thinking about, we're in this hobby and, people pretty much think of themselves as like, hey, I'm a video gamer. I'm a, insert hobby here, right? People have their hobbies. They have the things that they enjoy. And I was thinking, like, when it comes to board games, which actually encompasses, I think, a bunch of things. It encompasses card games, right? Maybe even TCGs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Magic or whatever, Pokemon and all those. So maybe is it not proper to say board gamer because those games don't have cards? No, but that's not what we're talking about today. But when you look at the hobby as a whole, there's easily a couple of different classes. And I'm going to loosely break them up into when it comes to being a gamer, there's 4 different classes. Okay. right?
Now, these are classes a la Rob, or is this science?
This is my opinion, and that's all that
Okay.
matters.
Okay.
There's the delusional class. I like that one. And there's like the new entry type of gamer. There's like the mid-level, right? These are the ones that are experienced. And then there's like the mega crazy, in a good way, insanity gamer. Okay.
Gotcha.
So let's check out this first one.
Yeah, I want to know the
what you think.
delusional category.
Okay. The delusional gamer is the one that I'm going to classify as the people that tell you, oh, I don't like games. I don't play games.
Ah, gotcha.
I say that they're delusional because they're delusional. Again, you and I have talked about this, and you even mentioned it. There's people out there that are like, yeah, I don't like games. I don't play games. They spend like 3 hours a day on their phone playing games.
Yep.
But they don't classify them as games because they're like, oh, a game is only, a game is only like the thing that you play on your kitchen table or your dining room table or whatever, or you only play with other people. No. There's plenty of games that are, especially even social games, that you play online. Like, did you know what? I haven't seen the statistic in recent months, but do you know what the number one revenue game on mobile was for quite some time? Recent?
Probably that one you play all the time. The Clash Royale or Clash of Clans or something.
No, actually. It's Monopoly. The Monopoly Go, I think, is
really
called. Yeah. In terms of revenue, this is where people are like, plopping the monies down. It is it has been number one for quite some time. Actually, I got to look at it later, see if it's still at the tops. But yeah, that's a Monopoly game. That's like a board game, pretty much, right?
I don't know. We've talked about that before. Gamers, quotes around it, don't consider Monopoly as a game, right?
Yeah.
You keep yourself in trouble if you say you're a gamer and you play Monopoly.
No, I would say we consider it a game. We just don't consider it a hobbyist game. It's like what the noobs play. But
okay.
Well, yeah. So there's the delusionals, right? Where they just don't want to admit that they are in the ecosystem. Or they don't want to associate.
So, what do you think the percentage of gamers are in the world, percentage-wise?
I'd say it's pretty high.
I would agree with that.
It's pretty high. It's just everybody's got their own jam. Like, would you say that somebody that does Sudokus or crosswords or word scrambles or whatever
are gamers?
Yeah. Or like, you remember that games magazine that they used to have in the newsstands? I bet it's still around.
I don't know of many magazines that are still around.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm shocked when I go into a Barnes and Noble and I see the huge selection of magazines. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And then how do they even sell them when they're like $20 a magazine?
Oh, man. Yeah. I would say the only magazine that matters now is
Spiel something. There you go.
Spielbox. One of the few board game related magazines. But unfortunately, you can't find this one at local newsstands because it comes from Germany. Yep. But actually, sometimes you can find, what is it called? I don't remember. There is one. I want to say, I got to look it up now because now it's bugging me. because I
The
can't remember
Tabletop
the
Gaming
name.
Magazine.
Yeah. Take me a second here.
There's one called Senate. It's an independent print magazine about the craft, creativity, and community of board gaming.
Casual Game Insider.
Oh, there it is. That was my next one I was going to say.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So, but anyway, so there we have the people that are like, they're just in denial that they're gamers because, you know, the entry or the swath of people, there's so many of them because gamers fall into like so many different categories, you know, everything from like people that play checkers and chess, right? I gotta say, it's like these people that are like the mega chess champions, they're gamers. Sorry. Just really good at it, or you just really focus on one thing. But anyway, all right. So then we've got the mid level. I'm sorry, the entry level. So these are the people that I would say are like one step above casual. Okay. One step above casual, and they're just exploring the hobby. Right. So to me, a casual gamer is somebody that just like, oh yeah, I played Catan with my friends. You know, they'll play games, but they don't really own any. And they don't.
So you need to make another entry here because you're talking about that's a casual gamer, but you didn't give that as a type.
Okay.
So
okay, so all right, there's 5 then.
There you go.
We'll say casual then.
There's
which
delusional,
is
then casual, then entry, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people that will get together with friends. It's like, hey, let's play a game or something. They're like, okay, you know, they enjoyed it, they had a good time, but they don't, like you said, they don't buy games. It's not their hobby, but they'll play when they're with someone who does have games or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
now,
I agree with that.
Is somebody that plays beer pong as their main form of gaming, or
it's
where
a
do
game.
They fall? Are they
delusional? I think that falls under the delusional.
Seeing double.
Exactly.
We'll call them the double vision gamers. Well, I guess it depends on how good you are, because you might not have double vision if you're good.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the delusional that are like, I'm not a gamer. Yes, you are. Then there's casual. They're just up for it. They play. They have a good time, but they don't seek it out. Then we have entry level. So now this is what I would call. Would you call an entry level gamer somebody that's actually getting into the hobby, or is this somebody that's like a step above casual? Because, you know, maybe they play like dominoes or something like that. They play dominoes all the time. Like they have weekly dominoes, or like mahjong. Like, you know, you get some folks that are like really into it, usually like grandmas, right? They're like huge into mahjong. And
I would think that, to me, a casual gamer isn't that they play on occasion. If they are playing mahjong and that's it, that's the only thing, that I think they're a casual gamer. Because and I would think that, so I would almost say that going to entry level, in reality, you take these 5 categories, collapse it down to 3. You have your delusional, your casual, and then I think you have your hobbyist. And then in the hobbyist category, you would have your entry, your mid, and your mega.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
kind of how I think that it would kind of be. Because an entry level gamer, you could say, well, that could be anybody that, you know, a casual, the first time they play, they're entry level. But no, an entry level to me is someone who's getting into the hobby, which was like what I did two and a half years ago, whatever it was.
When you're dipping your toes in the pool. Come on in, baby. The water's fine.
And look what happened. So, and as sad as it is, think about it this. So those that do watch my library walkthrough, I have purged several times, and I've probably gotten rid of 200 games. So, and I'm currently, what am I currently at? Like 400. though. Let me look at my overview. I own 406 games, and I have easily purged probably close to 200. So
Yeah.
it's pathetic. That's just ugh. But stuff that, well, especially when you first get in as an entry guy to the hobby, you buy a bunch of stuff because you don't know what you like. So you're
And
hearing
it
all
all
this stuff,
seems cool. Yeah.
and then you find out, ooh, this game sucks, or I don't like trick taking, or I don't like card drafting, or I don't like auction games, or I don't like the super duper heavy euros, or
Sure.
and I think then that's when you're in that entry level, you're just starting to try the different types of games. You're buying some stuff. You're starting to build up that library, and then I think you hit that midpoint where now I think the mid gamer is, or the mid hobbyist is someone who, hey, when you say Vital Lacerda, I know that that's a game designer, and I can probably name a couple games that they made. Like Kanban EV or Speakeasy. I may not be able to list everything, but I'm starting to recognize Dr. Knizia and Uwe Rosenberg and Connie Vogelman and things like that. You're starting to learn the names. Like I remember just 2 years ago when we started, you always talked about people, and I'm like, I have no idea. For me, it
Oh
was like,
yeah.
well, I like the theme, or I started like, well, I seem to like games from Roxley or Stonemaier or something. It would be like a publisher.
Oh yeah.
But
because that's the easiest thing to get
to
into.
latch
like,
onto.
Yeah. Like I remember, I love my Rio Grande. I love my Z-Man.
Your Queen
Fantasy
games.
Flight. Yeah. Oh, Queens. Oh,
So,
love Queen.
So I think that's as he's pointing to several of them on the shelf behind him. So I kind of think that's like where your mid gamer comes in, and I think that's where I proudly sit right now. But then again, some people might be like, "Dude, you just said you had 400 board games. That would make you a mega." But I don't think so. I don't think in the hobby that the amount of games dictates if you're a mega gamer or not. Now, I would consider Rob a mega gamer, or as he's changing the script on me, hardcore.
Yeah.
I consider Rob a hardcore hobbyist. His collection, mine dwarfs his. I would love, Rob, for you to someday.
Let's not compare sizes.
It's not about the size of the collection.
So much bigger.
And it's not about the size of the. It's not about the size of the collection. It's how often do you play with it.
Yes.
But so if you, because you've got to have, Rob, you've got to have over 1,000 games. I think.
Yeah, probably.
So you're definitely in there, and you've been doing it a long time, and you're still doing it. You're still backing stuff. You're still buying stuff. But then of course we could dive into the whole, you are buying and collecting, but are you gaming? So you might have moved out of the gamer category into the collector category.
My precious.
But do you think you're a hardcore gamer?
I don't know. I don't think so. I would probably classify myself a little bit above mid. I don't know if I'm hardcore because, so let's kind of take a quick step back. So entry level is, I think, the people that are like in the discovery phase, right? They are just getting used to, it's like discovering the hobby and go, oh, wow, this is interesting. And then they're like, playing the different ones, and they're bright-eyed, full of wonder, and just soaking it all in. And it's like, that's where we all started. Mid-level is like, okay, I know my way around things. It's like, I know my publishers, I have my favorites, I know my mechanisms that I like. It's like you are comfortable where you're at in the hobby, and I would say fairly active, right? In terms of You know
Yeah.
what's coming. Well, let me take a step back. You're pretty active, probably listening to podcasts like this and, following the media, and you're probably aware of what's coming out as well. Hardcore, I would say, is a step above that, where hardcore folks are the ones that live, eat, breathe, sleep, everything games. They are like all in. It's like the games are like all that they do. That's their world. And I don't think I'm there. Because time doesn't allow it, maybe. Maybe I would be if I had more free time. But it's like hardcore, I would say, is the people that like play everything, right? They're like all over the place. And or how about like, let me take a step back on that. So like at one of my local game stores, there's the dudes, like the war gamers. They come there every freaking week. And you know what I'm talking about. Like even in that place with the basement, they come in there, they have their like travel boxes, right? They have everything ready to go, and it's like all organized, and it's like they have like their little carts, and they're bringing everything, and everything's laid out. That is hardcore. Like maybe they only play one thing, but they play the hell out of it. And that is like, especially with the miniatures, that's like a whole different level of the hobby almost, where it's like they're into the painting, they're into getting everything. They know all the, we're sitting here, we're looking at the freaking rules. Sometimes we're looking at the rules upside down. Like that, maybe that explains things, but they like know all the rules, and then they sit there and they, debate on distances and rulers and tape measures and everything like that. In that case, those are hardcore gamers, but they only play like one or two things, but they play it intensely.
True. Yeah. So I agree with that. So you could play, I think it depends on the game too. So like I said earlier, if you're just playing Mahjong, and that's it. And even if you play it every day, you're just a casual gamer. But if you're investing the amount of money into a miniatures like a Warhammer game, and you have like that luggage and you're painting and you're going to tournaments and you're playing this all the time, even if it's just one game, you are definitely hardcore. I think that would be the difference between like the casual gamer and like you said with this hardcore. They could play just one game, but they are all in, and it's a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of investment, doing tournaments. Magic the Gathering, maybe people just play Magic, but my gosh, they're constantly spending money on that, and they're in tournaments, and they got, was it Friday night Magic is night, like every game store in America. So you can be.
Well, let me jump in real quick. So, the person that's playing Mahjong every week, they get very like competitive, cutthroat and stuff like that. And they're in it like hardcore, taking it serious. Friendships dissolve and all that stuff. Like, is that any different than the war gamer? And the reason why I say that is like, they're just as ferocious with the gaming, and they're like really into it, and they play on a schedule, like, oh, that's their Tuesday night or whatever.
But I kind of
would they
feel
be
like
casual?
I think casual and the hardcore. When you're hardcore, I think you have to take in consideration the monetary investment in it as well. I think if you got one game, Scrabble, right? Boggle, Mahjong, whatever. You play one thing and you buy the game once and that's it. And you're just playing with a bunch of friends every week or whatever, but you're playing the same game. There's a lot of groups that do that. I don't think that's hardcore. Now, D&D
What about the chess master?
would be, I think, hardcore. What about chess?
What about the chess master? Like the dude that's sitting there with hitting the clock.
I still think that falls into the casual. Because those guys will go and play in the park, and it's something they do all the time. And yeah, they're playing one game. And how much, I kind of feel like the hardcore, I guess, I mean, you can look at it from different ways. I picture casual as really not putting an investment into the hobby. I could have said I'm a gamer and just bought a couple games and said I'm good. I know a guy that was in our group, and he just doesn't have the space. Now, he's a gamer, and I would say he's a hardcore gamer, but he doesn't have, at the time, he didn't have a lot of space, so he just had kind of a bag, kind of those bags we get at Gen Con every year, and what fits in the bag, that's what he has, because he just doesn't have the space for it, and he would bring that bag every week. And sometimes we play his stuff, but he always said, why do I need to buy stuff when I can play other people's games because I'm in this group? And I'm like, that's a great way. It's a great way to save.
I understand that. I don't identify with that.
I struggle with that. I'm already thinking, gee, I should buy Architects of the West Kingdom because I like the game. I don't need to buy it.
Yeah.
I could just say, Frank, bring this over. But I think to be, at least this is for me in my ranking, hardcore means you are also investing not only time, but money. Or you are, and the money could be into a single game like Dungeons and Dragons or Magic or a Warhammer or miniature thing, or a whole bunch of stuff like what you and I have.
So
now,
can we, how about this? Can we say that a hardcore gamer is a gamer that is investing money, time, and themselves maybe into the hobby of sorts? Because you look at folks that are playing D&D, I mean, they are like really serious about it.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily buying tons of stuff, but they're putting in
they do.
I mean, I'm gonna sugarcoat it and say, like, they buy the book. But
wow. Oh man, we're gonna get so much hate mail. It's Rob at this board game of life. That's who you hate.
No, I'm trying to say that when it comes to it, they put a lot of time into the play of their game, which is different than somebody that has like shelves and shelves and shelves of games, of different games. They are fully invested into one or more universes, whether it's like,
but someone who's new, or maybe they don't play a game, and someone says, "Hey, come join my D&D group." And they're like, "Okay," and they show up, and someone walks them through building a character, and they go every week and play this game, but they don't. That's just a casual entry level, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because to really be hardcore becomes when that person now starts going, wow, I need different dice sets for my characters, or I want to have multiple characters, and I'm buying miniatures, and I am painting, and I'm buying all the player handbooks and the monster handbooks, and now you're into that hardcore, and you're investing your time and effort and money.
So speaking of dice, the hardcore gamers this week went out and they got their Arby's dice. Did you see that? Arby's came out with a full set of these like really intricate. You got your D4, D6, like the full set with a little hat on it.
Was that an April
Hey,
Fool's joke?
no. As far as I know, it's real because they do a lot of really cool stuff. A lot of like video game tie-ins, like with their marketing and stuff. And
Oh, wow.
oh, you see it?
I'm looking at pictures of them.
Yeah.
Arby's
Sure.
metal dice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We
Some
traded
companies
roast
doing
beef
it.
for metal to give you the best rolls. Oh, geez.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's there's I would say that the let's say like I'll use the chess players. The chess players that go down to the beach and they play on the tables, that are mounted into the concrete, into the
Yeah.
sidewalks and stuff. You know, those, depending on who they are, some of them are not casual. Like the ones that go, yeah, I'll go out, this week and I'll do it. You get the people that are like, I'm playing this guy at 11, I'm playing this guy at 12, and they play for money and stuff like that. That is above casual. But they have their one, and they don't have the breadth of a huge collection or something like that. But it's a different kind of hardcore. It's just because what they do to it. Like all the games that I have, I would classify myself as like approaching a hardcore gamer, but I'm not hardcore where I play one game all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting that we're having this discussion because at the beginning I said I'm a mid. It's where I put myself, and I put you at hardcore. But you brought up a kind of a valid point. Maybe you're the mid, and I'm actually the hardcore now.
Maybe
between the two of us, because I'm buying game. No, we both buy games all the time. So we are both putting the investment in. We both have large collections, but I'm the one that's playing at a minimum every Wednesday night.
yes,
and I'm usually playing 2 to 3 times a week, and then also trying to get a solo game in or something for the channel. Trying to do stuff like that as well. So just based on some of the things we've said that makes a person hardcore, the fact that I'm playing games and I play a large variety of stuff, I just show up and I'll play anything. Like we had the other night, they were asking, do you want to play Architects of the West Kingdom or do you want to play Caverna? And I was like, we had 2 tables going, so and I'm just sitting there like, I'll play either. I've not played either one. Sure. I'm fine with either one. It doesn't matter. And we ended up with Architects, which I'm glad because I really did enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And so maybe that makes me a hardcore gamer because I do play light games, party games, mid, light, heavy games, Ameritrash, Euros. It doesn't matter. I'm willing to play. I just want to have fun. Mm-hmm. And I do it every week. So I don't know. Maybe I am a hardcore gamer now.
I would say you're approaching it. I would actually say that we're kind of the same. The main difference is that like right now with things how they are, it's a time thing for me because I need to choose between real life and enjoyment of any kind.
Board games are real life, dude.
I know.
This isn't Xbox anymore.
Do you ever watch Ted Lasso?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Board games are life.
Yeah, there you go.
With the Mexican dude.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. But
he was funny.
Yeah.
He was so good. But
is that a spoiler?
No.
Okay. All right. I haven't watched the whole recent season.
No.
Okay.
I meant as in because I've seen the whole show.
Okay.
That character is like awesome.
Yeah. Anyway. But no, that's interesting. And I would say that we are similar, if not the same or close in terms of where we are. I don't know if I would classify myself as hardcore just because I haven't had the time to put into it, but I'm still active in the hobby. It's like I keep up on stuff, Kickstarters, I'm looking at you. I'm trying to break my habit. And
dude, I am so trying to do the same. I almost backed something the other day and I was like, oh, it comes out in 2026. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's my thing now. If it's not, because I know a lot of stuff coming out this year is going to slip. If it's not coming out this year, I'm no longer backing. So I'm probably going to be pretty done here pretty quick, except for anything that actually is a pre-order.
Yeah, I was wondering one thing when it comes to that, and I know we got to watch the time here, so we can probably.
We've blown past my timeline.
Yeah, so we can just wrap this up here in a couple seconds. And I was just going to say, with Kickstarters, I really think things are going to change, and I've already seen one company that says, just based on how things are, we're not going to make games for retail because that's going to be like a huge cost for them, right? And if they don't have guaranteed buyers, they're just not going to sell it, right? Because if they have to pay the tariffs for a game that's going to sit in a warehouse, that's going to be a sunk cost, right? And
well, you do business elsewhere, and
or you just do business differently.
You make your games elsewhere. You adapt. I mean, look.
Actually, we're getting off topic. We're getting off topic. Yeah, this will turn into a half-hour discussion.
Yeah,
but no. So that's
every business needs to adjust, no matter what the industry is, no matter where in the world you are working, or
you have no choice.
There are things that change, and you have to change with it. And from like my standpoint as a hobbyist. Okay, so things might get more expensive. So what? Everything else is more expensive. Everything has been crazy expensive. So I now don't play video games anymore. I find I've cut that hobby out. I haven't even been on my Xbox in months. And I'm like, why am I still paying for Game Pass? Like, I don't know why. I'm like, need to stop paying that monthly bill and put that money towards gaming. Or I will not buy as many. I mean, we got so many games, and I think a lot of people that are screaming the most about the tariffs is like, well, how many games do you have? How many have you not played? We all talk about our shelf of shame, right? Play the games we have. The stuff will all normalize out eventually. It's gonna be okay, and it's a hobby. I'd rather the price of eggs and gas that come down. I could really care less about the board games, and there's a lot of things around the tariffs that the mainstream media is not talking about. So my heart doesn't bleed for everybody, and I don't want anyone to lose their job. Okay, don't get me wrong. I don't want anyone to lose their job, but this is not a life or death industry. I will pay more because I have to. Yeah. Consumers will make our choices. And those that are diehard, we're still going to stick here. We're still going to play. We're just going to cut elsewhere.
If you look at it from, I think, a realistic perspective, the board game stuff that we do, like all of this here behind me, it's a luxury. It's a luxury.
It is. It's exactly what it is.
It's unless it's bringing in money somehow, it's a luxury.
and that's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. And you say it more eloquently to me. I'm just like, what the heck with everybody?
Yeah.
It is. It's a luxury. I'm more worried about prices of things. I got kids in college. I've got, a kid graduating high school here in a couple, 2 months. I got, the vet bills and pet food and gas and groceries and all this stuff is just continuing to go up and up and up. And it's like, that's where I'm more worried about the cost, my costs. So I'm not as worried here. I don't want anyone to lose their job, but this is the world. It's not just one little industry it's being picked on. And it's not the US picking on the world, even though that's how it's being portrayed. So I encourage people, don't get so bent up and wrapped up in something because one media source told you this. There's a lot going on, and the world isn't fair. It never has been fair. It never will be fair. So
how's
just
that saying go? Like life sucks and then you die.
Yep.
Or something like that.
The only sure things in life are death and taxes. So that's exactly what, this tariffs are taxes. So it sucks. You and I don't want to pay more.
No.
I get why it's being done. I understand why it's being done. And I will, I'm just like, hope for the best. Hope it doesn't last long. But I hope that they have the desired outcomes to lower costs for everybody across the board on everything. Period. That's there's more to it than people I think are really paying attention to. But anyways, like you said, it's a luxury. We might have to take a game or back a few less or something because they're going to cost more. I do have one coming out soon, and I am concerned because it's a very expensive. My Nemesis Retaliation with my Nemesis OG and all of that is due to ship like this month, or I think it's this or next month. I'm like, I haven't heard from them what they're going to do. Are they going to come at me and go, I need 20% more on top of your several $100s? It's going to be a huge hit, you know? So far, the stuff that I have been getting, I have not been charged more money for. I've seen a couple companies have said they're going to eat it. And honestly, I think that's the way it should be. We backed you. This was what you charged us. Things change. Like you knew, and maybe you don't collect shipping until it's time to ship. Like, why do they collect shipping 2 years in advance? That's on them. That's their fault. Shipping always gets more expensive every year. Like that's just, so it makes no sense. And they should eat the cost. That's the cost of doing business. Nowhere does it say, if I go into business, you're guaranteed to succeed. No, they're, and that's life. You have to learn how to adjust.
It's like when you go to the gas station and you fill up your car. If you fill up your car, they don't go, oh, gas just went up 20 cents a gallon. You need to give us that extra 20 cents a gallon, before you drive off the property.
Yeah.
And we'll see where things go with this. It's, I bet a lot of companies are going to explore.
Well,
what different
I
things.
believe a lot of the stuff coming from these companies is garbage, BS. I think they're just using the news to try to make up for their own downfalls of not being able to be successful. I'm sorry. I won't mention the company. We mentioned them 2 weeks ago in the news about how their shortfalls and stuff. That has nothing to do with this. You guys have been losing money already. So this may not help you, but that's also not the government's fault. That you guys are not able to make money somehow, which is ridiculous when they're making millions and millions and millions on every crowdfunding campaign they put out.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look internal first.
Yeah.
Fix your stuff at home. But again, I hope these companies are able to fulfill their stuff. I hope all of us backers are getting all of our products. I hope we don't have to pay a lot more money for these. I don't think crowdfunders should have to pay that. I really don't, especially when they collected the money so far in advance. We could have kept our money till now and, spent it elsewhere or made interest off it or whatnot and covered the cost of the extra. Anyways, enough of me rambling.
Spent it on GameStop stock.
Could have bought cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But
oh boy.
Anyway.
But anyways, swinging back, let's finish up our thing. So we basically kind of modified things. So we're starting with delusional gamers, and I say that in jest. So that's the people that are like, I'm not a gamer, but they play all the time. Yeah, they play it every day in a different way. They're just not sitting down at a TV or monitor or a dining room table.
Right.
Then there's the casual ones. Those are kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll play. What is this about? Okay, I'll wing it. And then there's the hobbyist folks, which I mean we fall into, and that's probably I would say most of our listeners. And entry level is the folks that are just getting into the hobby. They're discovering this. They're that wide-eyed, like big smile. Oh, this is amazing! Like a kid in a candy store type of folks.
Hey, that look belongs in all categories.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Come on, we're going back to Gen Con this year. Yeah, both you and I are going to be like.
I was just, I was just thinking about that like the last couple of days. I'm like, oh, I can't wait because we had TBLCon 2.0 just recently, and I'm like, that was like almost 2 months ago. It was like 6 weeks. And I'm like, oh, that seems like forever. I can't wait to play more games with you. Yeah. So I was actually thinking, I'm like, because I know you're coming here a little early, and I was like, what are we going to do that first night? Should we stay up all night and play and then be tired?
Well, that's fine because I get to sleep in the car on the way to Indy. So
the car drives itself. So we can.
There you go.
Yeah.
We can kick back and take a nap.
Yeah. Just put on the cruise. It's got it covered.
There you go.
So, but anyway, so yeah, there's the entry
level.
We'll
wake up in freaking El Paso, Texas or something. What happened?
And then we're at the Alamo looking for the base. Yeah. We're here for Gen Con. It's in the basement of the Alamo. Yeah. There's a reference for that. But anyway, and then
we know that the Alamo is not in El Paso. Just so you just and to avoid the hate.
And there's no basement at the Alamo either. But then there's like the mid-level gamer, which we'll just call that the regular gamer, which are the ones they're in the hobby. They got their favorites, and they keep up with stuff. And then you get the hardcores. The hardcores, I would say, is divided into a whole bunch of different styles. And this is kind of where I was going with it. So it's not necessarily like huge collection. There's hardcore gamers where they're like, I have this amazing collection. I have all these games. I play all these styles. Then you have the ones that are hardcore that stick to one thing or a couple of things. I would say that somebody who's got this huge Magic the Gathering collection and they sit there and they buy the stuff and they open up and create all their decks and stuff like that. They're tearing the packs open. I'd say they're hardcore as well. And, I would say like, these last three, that's probably where the majority of our audience is, right? Entry, mid-level, and hardcore. And, actually, I don't know. Maybe hardcore isn't a lot of our audience because we don't really go hardcore into any like particular topic. We just do a little bit of everything because that's what we enjoy. But
that's true.
Anyway, do you have anything to add to that or?
Nope. I think that was pretty fun little discussion.
Oh, heck yeah. Very lively. And we would love to hear what you guys think. So leave us a comment on our video or send us messages or something like that. And we'd love to hear what your thoughts are and where you fall into this. And if you can think of any additional criteria or levels, we'd love to hear it. All right. So I think that's a wrap for 93. Yeah. I'm let's call it here. I'm Rob. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you all in 2 weeks.
And I'm Mark. We'll see you at the table.